Hello, lovelies. Well, today's the day. It is September the 24th. And I don't know, it's supposed to be the end of the world or something. Lots of people are talking about it, but it's not like lots of people haven't talked about the end of the world plenty of times before. And we're still here. So there. I find it fascinating that these apocalyptic ideas keep circulating. And I was watching one particular analyst, and I won't mention any names, but he has literally been predicting the end of the world's financial system since I was in the United States. And in fact, before I left the United States, right? So that was 2008, and that has still not happened. But it brings up lots of questions for me. And the first question that I think is really important is a question that, in a way, surpasses all of the other questions that I want to talk about. And it's a question that I cannot believe at 56 years of age that I haven't been asked this question yet. And it's also relevant to ask this question in terms of playing with the idea that it might be the end of the world, because I've heard it said that a great way to live your life is to live it as if it is your very last day on earth. And so the question that I came across yesterday was, what is the highest purpose for your life? What do you posit is the highest purpose of your life? And that floored me. Because in all honesty, I was not able to answer that. And it's been 24 hours since I found that question, and I've been pretty much thinking about it the whole time. I even asked my husband what he thought my highest purpose was. And basically he said that my highest purpose was to help him in a very mundane way, in a practical business way. And I had to keep my mouth shut on that one, or it wasn't going to end very well. Jordan Peterson was the video I was listening to, and I find him to be quite an astonishing person. In fact, one of my best girlfriends hated him. She thought he was fake and just made her skin crawl. And then about a year later, she was posting his videos all over her Facebook page. And at the time that she hated him, I said to her, I really think that he is one of the most sincere, honest people that I have witnessed. And she wasn't buying it at that point. But then later she became a convert as well. Because he is, look, he may be wrong and he admits it, but he is as sincere and as honest as anybody that I have ever come across. And so it was Jordan who asked that question. And he said that asking oneself that question was the fastest route to self-realization and also the ennoblement of the being. And I'm surprised that even with my Freemason father and my spiritual mother and of all of the wise teachers that I have had the blessing to spend time with, that not one of them have asked me that question. And I feel like if I had come across this question earlier in life, the entire trajectory of my life might have been quite different. John DeMartini, who I did spend a lot of time with, said something about the quality of your life is dependent on the quality of questions you ask. So I might add to that the quality of questions asked of you as well. What is the highest purpose of your life? Jordan Peterson, the very next question he asks is, if you are able to determine what is the highest purpose for your life, he says, why the hell would you do anything else? Why the hell? Why the hell would we do anything else? And that question caused me to look at my life and see, what am I doing with my life on a daily basis? I think that it would enable the creation of quite a magical life. I have to say that because of my position, I am blessed to know some of the most amazing people on the planet and people who are no longer on the planet. But I'm going to use two ladies as an example. Veda Austin, who is the water researcher, and Shauna Home, who is, I can never say what she is, Ombanji. She has dedicated herself to the teachings of the wisdom teachings of the mushroom. Now, both of these ladies have a very clear idea of what their highest purpose is. And both of these ladies do the next question. They both spend their lives answering, why would I do anything else? Because they don't. I mean, they eat and they have kids and they pay the rent, but their day-to-day functions completely revolve around what they believe their highest purposes to be. And as a result of that, their lives are two of the most magical, romantic, exciting lives that I am aware of. I am constantly surprised at what these two ladies are up to. It's like you could not write a better life for yourself than what these ladies are living today, despite the September the 24th, the food crash, the energy crisis, yada, 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 yada. It's almost as if these things do not even impact their trajectory in life. It is as if these things do not even touch them, that they roll off their backs like water rolls off a duck. In a very real sense, the world reorganizes itself around them to enable them to accomplish their highest good. And some of the ways that the universe organizes itself around them is completely astounding. When I first met Shauna in particular, she has quite a long story about going from, let's say, 0 to 60 once she discovered her true purpose. And since then, she's even blown my mind more. I think that it is indeed magic at work here. I really do. I think it is cymatic in nature. One of the things that Jordan Peterson says, and I honestly don't even believe that he fully understands the ramification of these words, because he talks about it as if, well, he talks about it in two ways. He talks about it in one way that's really obvious, is that when you know what your trajectory is, it's kind of like that red car thing. When you want a red car, all you see on the road is red cars, right? And so it's like, oh, there's so many red cars. So when you know what your highest possible aim is, then you start seeing around you the opportunities that enable you to get closer to that goal because you know what your goal is. So he says that it is a matter of perception, and I agree with it. It is a matter of perception. But he also says that the universe organizes itself around you. And he says that because of the matter of aim. He says that we are aiming machines, but I don't think that that is what it is. I think that it is that the world does in fact shape around you, but it shapes around you because once you answer that question, you are vibrating at a different frequency, and just like rice on a plate, when you change that frequency, the universe shifts around you, reconfigures around you, because you are at a different vibration. Interestingly enough, when I was at Rupert Sheldrake's house before COVID, he showed me his cymatic research setup. Apparently, he and his son are very much into studying cymatics. And look, we didn't talk about it that much, so I don't know if he even understands why cymatics works or the nature of how cymatics works. But for those of you who haven't seen it, basically you have like a metal plate, and as I said, you put some rice on it, and then you turn a frequency on, and the rice makes a certain pattern. Then you can raise the frequency, and the pattern of the rice will stay at that level. And once you hit a new threshold of frequency, all of a sudden the pattern of the rice completely changes. It doesn't slowly change as you change the frequency. It holds a pattern until a new threshold is met, and then the rice reconfigures. And this is my experience of how the world actually works. And therein lies the magic. I've experienced this once myself, and I think I've spoken about it before, when I went in and did some work on my beliefs with a lady by the name of Susanna Kennedy. And I know I've talked about it before, but basically, you know, she said the world will shift around you, and the world shifted around me. Oh boy, did it ever. I ended up in a different country with a broken neck, but the best possible broken neck that you could ever hope for. And so working on my beliefs, clearing out a lot of the clutter, enabled me to vibrate at a different frequency. And whoosh, it's almost like, you know, that thing in Doctor Strange, right, where the buildings all turn around. I mean, it wasn't that visual, but it was the effect was the same, right? I was in a completely different environment, in a completely different space. So I think that asking yourself that question, what is the highest possible purpose for my life? And then saying, why the hell would I do anything else? And then acting upon that, upon that knowledge can only but change your vibration. And when you change your vibration, voila, the world cymatically changes around you. What a difference it would be. Like, I literally spend most of my days on the computer doing admin. Or doesn't, when I die, I'm not going to look back at all those hours doing admin and saying, what a life well lived. And you can imagine that my vibrationary level is not that high when I'm sitting on the computer paying bills or on hold or whatever I have to do, right? It's just, oh my gosh. But when I'm doing these podcasts, then I'm vibrating at a whole different level. I'm loving it. My life feels meaningful. And for Shauna and for Veda, their lives are incredibly meaningful. I think living up to your highest purpose provides the maximum amount of meaning in your life. So I'm just going to play you the bit of Jordan that I listened to that was the inspiration for this, because Jordan does it so much more eloquently than I do. And listen, ask the question on your Facebook page. I mean, look, tell me, put the comments on my page or on my YouTube and let me know what your highest purpose is. I've had some beautiful comments on the question that I posted on my Facebook page, and some are monumental and some are more mundane, and every single one of them is beautiful. Every single one of them. My bestest friend from San Diego, hers was, I just want people to feel loved. I mean, wow, that just breaks my heart in a good way. Just to go out and have people feel that they are loved. That does not require an investment of time, of money, or it's simply something you can go throughout the day and just do. And it's beautiful. So ask the question of yourself. Ask the question on your social media. In fact, imagine what might happen if my world cymatically changes around me and Steph's world cymatically changes around her, and your world starts cymatically changing around you, and your Facebook friends' world starts cymatically changing around them. What might fucking be possible, right? I mean, could we actually magically change things? I don't know. Oh my God, it's better than the alternatives, my loves.
Sit on your bed one day and ask yourself, what remarkably stupid things am I doing on a regular basis to absolutely screw up my life? And if you actually ask that question, but you have to want to know the answer, right? Because that's actually what asking the question means. It doesn't mean just mouthing the words. It means you have to decide that you want to know. You'll figure that's out so fast it'll make your hair curl. There's no better pathway to self-realization and the ennoblement of being than to posit the highest good that you can conceive of and commit yourself to it. And then you might also ask yourself, and this is definitely worth asking, is do you really have anything better to do? And if you don't, well, why would you do anything else? If you orient yourself properly and then pay attention to what you do every day, that works. And I actually think that that's in accordance with what we have come to understand about human perception, because what happens is that the world shifts itself around your aim, because you're a creature that has an aim. You have to have an aim in order to do something. You're an aiming creature. You look at a point and you move towards it. It's built right into you. And so you have an aim. Well, let's say your aim is the highest possible aim. Well then, so that sets up the world around you. It organizes all of your perceptions. It organizes what you see and you don't see. It organizes your emotions and your motivations. So you organize yourself around that aim, and then what happens is the day manifests itself as a set of challenges and problems, and if you solve them properly, then you stay on the pathway towards that aim, and you can concentrate on the day, and so that way you get to have your cake and eat it too, because you can point into the distance, the far distance, and you can live in the day. And it seems to me that that makes every moment of the day supercharged with meaning. That's how, because if everything that you're doing every day is related to the highest possible aim that you can conceptualize, well, that's the very definition of the meaning that would sustain you in your life. Well, and then the issue is, well, back to Noah. Well, all hell's about to break loose and chaos is coming. It's like when that's happening in your life, you might want to be doing something that you regard as truly worthwhile, because that's what will keep you afloat when everything is flooded. And you don't want to wait until the flood comes to start doing that, because if your ark's half built and you don't know how to captain it, the probability is very high that you'll drown. Ask and it shall be given you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. That sounded pretty optimistic again. But again, I think it's a description of the structure of existential reality, and by which I mean, when I'm in my clinical practice and I observe, and this is also the case with my students, is, let's say people's lives aren't what they would like them to be, and so then you ask, why? Well, forget about tragedy and catastrophe, because that's self-evident and we're not going to discuss that. Although the degree to which you bring about your own tragedy is always indeterminate. But I would never say that every terrible thing that is visited on a person is something they deserved. I think that that's a very dangerous presupposition, especially because everyone gets sick and everyone dies. But one of the main reasons that people don't get what they want is because they don't actually figure out what it is. And the probability that you're going to get what would be good for you, let's say, which would even be better than what you want, right? Because, you might be wrong about what you want easily. But maybe you could get what would really be good for you. Well, why don't you? Well, because you don't try. You don't think, okay, here's what I would like if I could have it. And I don't mean in a way that you manipulate the world to force it to deliver you goods for status or something like that. That isn't what I mean. I mean something like, imagine that you were taking care of yourself like you were someone you actually cared for. And then you thought, okay, I'm caring for this person. I would like things to go as well for them as possible. What would their life have to be like in order for that to be the case? Well, people don't do that. They don't sit down and think, all right, let's figure it out. You've got a life. It's hard, obviously. It's like 3 years from now, you can have what you need. You got to be careful about it. You can't have everything. You can have what would be good for you, but you have to figure out what it is, and then you have to aim at it. Well, my experience with people has been if they figure out what it is that would be good for them, and then they aim at it, then they get it. And it's strange because it's a strange thing. It's not quite that simple because, you may formulate an idea about what would be good for you, and then you take 10 steps towards that, and you find out that your formulation was a bit off, and so you have to reformulate your goal. So you're kind of going like this as you move towards the goal. But a huge part of the reason that people fail is because they don't ever set up the criteria for success. And so, since success is a very narrow line and very unlikely, the probability that you're going to stumble on it randomly is 0. And so there's a proposition here, and the proposition is, if you actually want something, you can have it.
More soon, lovelies. Thank you for listening, lovelies. And if you like this podcast and would like to support us, please go to magicalegypt.com, and I have made a special discount coupon just for you all. And the coupon code is LOVE. And that will get you $30 off any Magical Egypt purchase. Also, I've started Patreon, so you can mosey on over there and see if you want to contribute. But I appreciate you listening, and I appreciate all your support, and more soon.